Welcome everyone to the Radnor Township Historic and Architectural Review Board meeting for Wednesday, May 5th, 2021. First order of business is a call to order. The second order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next order of business is old business, HARB 2021-04, 348 Llewellyn Avenue, Wayne, PA. Two-story addition with covered porch, restoration or replacement of windows, stucco and roof, removal of chimney. Now this is the case that was continued. So again, I would like to refresh everyone's memory with some basic background on this property. According to Radnor Township records, they say that it is a contributing property. It was built in 1926. The architect was Paul Davis. Radnor Historical Society's Historic Resource Survey says the architects were Davis, Dunlop, and Barney, who did alterations, and Barney and Bandwell, who also did alterations. Delaware County property records say building area of this house is 3,708 square feet. The exterior walls are masonry. Please introduce yourself again, Juliet, and share your revised plans with us.
Sure. My name is Juliet Kozak. I'm the architect on the project. The owners are also here, Lindsay and Paul. So should I just jump in with what's revised, or should I flip through the whole packet again?
Please share with us what you proposed before and then your changes.
Okay, so hopefully you can all see the drawings now.
Yes.
Right, so we are putting an addition at the rear of the house. And then there's some kind of minor changes with the chimney. So here's the site plan. As we talked about before, it's on the corner. It's a corner property, so we were concerned about both the view from Llewellyn and from Pembroke. So the green right here is where the addition is. So it is visible from Pembroke, even though it's set pretty far back from the street. So here's just some existing context from the surrounding neighbors. And then here's the existing house. So thank you for all your comments last time. It sounded like there were two main concerns that we needed to address with a revision. One being the chimneys. It sounded like the board thought that the chimney, especially at the front of the house, was significant to the architectural character. So we made the decision that we would keep that one. So that's the one shown up here. This is the view from Llewellyn. So we do have to do some minor repairs to the pointing on that, but otherwise we'll just keep it the same size. It won't be functional, so but it'll still be there as an architectural element. This chimney, we had proposed to remove it, and the plan would still be to remove it. This is a view from the owner's driveway. So it's not visible from the street. This is the street side here on Llewellyn. And as you can see, the gable to the front of the property really blocks the view of that. Again, and this is at the rear of the house, also not visible from the street. So we would propose to keep that, to remove that one if we can. These are some of the drawings from when the house was kind of revised from being more of a shingle style Victorian into more of a new Tudor style.
Juliet, one quick question that I have.
Yes.
There were 3 chimneys according to your drawings as shown
yes.
in your plans from 1926?
Yep.
And now there are 2?
Yes. Well,
okay.
there are currently 3, but we'd like to remove the one at the rear.
Okay.
So here is the elevation of the side property, from the side property. This is the front of the house. So again, this dotted line is where the existing chimney currently is at the rear of the house. But again, we'd like to remove this one. It's not visible from the street. And it's really in bad shape. So it's a bit of a safety hazard at this point. But this is from last meeting, we had proposed to remove this one, which is at the front of the house. So after all your comments, we're okay keeping that one. So the other main concern was all the glass that we had back here. So originally we had kind of a slightly more modern look to these doors, as well as a little bit more glass here. And they were all kind of door-sized windows, even if they weren't doors. So the big revision we made here after your comments was to replace this window. This was originally, we had it as 2 tall kind of doors. So we made those into windows that matched the other windows on the house. And then these were floor to ceiling windows and door system at this location also. So we decided to reuse and restore the windows that are original to the house, just in a slightly different location. And we'll put those back in the new construction. So those would be the original windows to the house. We're just relocating them. And then we switched this door from, they were kind of wider panels. And so what we did with those is we want to match what's on the original carriage house. So this is the carriage house that belonged to the property originally. So we just want to match these doors and still get that look of having 3 sets of French doors. But we feel like this is a little bit more appropriate to the house and historical character. And then this is just a couple more, some context from the neighbors that also have similar large French doors on their properties. This is across the street. This is also on Luella. And then this is the existing door system that we'll just reuse and restore. So here's just the revised rendering. Again, we kind of made these window panes a little bit smaller and brought up the base of the door so that it's a little bit more historically accurate. And then these are windows instead of doors, and then these are changed from doors also to windows. So I hope that addresses the concerns. Is there anything else you need to know about that?
I want to comment that I think that's a very thoughtful revision. Thank you for taking our comments to heart. I think it's a considerably better design. As I have often said in this committee, our intention is to make sure that whatever additions get put on look very much like they should have always been there. And I think you've done an excellent job in making this fit much better with what it should look like.
Thank you, and we do really appreciate the comments. So
I also agree, and I also appreciate the salvaging of the chimney in the front of the house, which was so important to its original structure. Thank you for that too.
Thanks.
Bravo, all around, looks great. Thank you.
Any further comments from the board?
I would like to make a motion that we offer a certificate of appropriateness for this design.
I'll second that.
Second. Okay.
Lisa.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
I also say yay, and the board recommends a certificate of appropriateness. Thank you for presenting to us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next order of old business is HARB 2021-07, 309 Conestoga Road, Wayne, PA. Add two-story rear addition to upgrade from a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath to a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house with larger kitchen and family room. And we have two alternatives, one alternative 1 and alternative 2. Before we get into this presentation, I would like to give some basic background on this property. According to Radnor Township records, there is no information on this property. It's not listed at all. Radnor Historical Society's Historic Resource Survey has no information. Zillow says it was built in 1930 and the style was colonial. The Delaware County property records say that it was built in 1929. The building area is 1,708 square feet living. The exterior walls are stucco. Please introduce yourself and share your plans with us.
Hi, thank you. My name is Linda Casey and my partner is Matt Kenny, and we are at 309 Conestoga. May I share my screen?
Please do.
Linda, before we go on, have you received permission for impervious coverage?
We are going simultaneously with the grading permit. We did talk to the zoning board. We are within I think the impervious coverage is 11% and we're allowed to go to 25%. So we are within the zoning rules for impervious coverage.
Okay, thank you very much. It's something we always have to ask these days.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So this is our house, 309 Conestoga. When we purchased it, it needed a little bit of TLC. It is about 90 years old. It is colonial style, as you can see. It is not a center hall colonial. It is a center chimney colonial. Our chimney is directly in the center of our house, which actually creates some design issues. So we did, when we purchased the house, it is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. We have the 2 of us and 2 boys living here. When we first moved in, the boys were young enough to share the 1-bedroom, and we were able to tolerate the 1-bath. But it is now time for us to take this adorable house and make it acceptable for our growing family and the modern buyer, and make it a 4-bedroom house and put an actual ensuite owner's suite. So from our site plan, you can see that we are non-conforming. In this particular, under our zoning, you're supposed to have 70 feet of frontage, and instead we have 50 feet, but then we go back 290 feet. So ours is a very, very long, very skinny piece of property. We started this process about 2.5 years ago. It was significantly delayed by the COVID crisis. And the first thing we did was reach out to Radnor Township to find out what we can do. And a little aside, I have to say, every person that we have dealt with at Radnor Township has been phenomenal. When we met with Radnor Township, they said, because we are existing non-conforming, our addition can go straight back. And that's it, because you can see that what would have been allowed is a very skinny house, and so we can go straight back. They also informed us from the HARB perspective that if we do go straight back, so that the from the road, it doesn't change. That significantly reduces, if not eliminates, a lot of the historical concern. So when we got the architect's concept drawing that had this straight back, we went to the neighborhood to see what other people were doing with similar colonial style houses. So the first one is Runnymede. This is basically our backyard neighbor, but across the street on Runnymede. And it is the colonial that has a very similar look to ours, the flat front with the center door and the plain roof. And they have here that similar addition that going on. Their addition is actually probably a little bit larger than ours. Their addition appears to be slightly bigger than the width of their house, and ours doesn't. And so that's what they did. On West Wayne Avenue, which is across the corner from us on the other side, there's this other house that has a similar simplistic colonial type exterior. And they also went through and put on that addition straight back. Theirs is also a little bit bigger than the width of their house. On Midland, we found another colonial that looks similar to our house that did the same large addition out the back, flat with the house. Again, a little bit larger than the width of their existing house. And then on St. David's, we found two. Both of these were slightly smaller than the width of their house, but still very large and clearly have 2 rooms on each of the floors. And so when we took a look at that, that helped us a lot because we're not architects. And so we wanted to see what it was going to look like in person. It also, we felt that it was appropriate. I am a lawyer by trade. I looked at the HARB ordinances. You know, we don't have any roof pediments. We made sure that we maintained the same style of roof, and going straight back, we felt that that would keep this colonial style look as the other people did. From the street, you keep the colonial style look, and then you have the addition out the back. So looking at the elevations, there's only one piece of it that changes from the front of the street, and that is this entrance into our side door. Again, we dealt with the Radnor Township. We spoke with zoning. If you see in our site plans, we are very, very close to the property line here. I think it's about 5 feet at this point. And we were told that there is an exemption allowed, and this is the only thing that's allowed, which is the stairs to a 3 foot by 3 foot with railings. We're not allowed to put anything above the doorway or anything like that. This is what we're allowed to do. We do think that it looks appropriate for the neighborhood. We have seen other similar side entranceways. It's also not very visible from the street. You have to be pretty much right on top of this particular area to see it. The house blocks it for most of the time. We did select, based on recommendations from our architect and other professionals, to put siding on the new addition. We have siding on the, if you can see here, we have the, what was probably originally a porch turned into an office, and it has the siding that looks like the wood. And we have selected to put the siding on here. And we are using siding that does look like wood paneling. So that's what we have there. We do have the first alternative. It gave us the opportunity. If you look at our original elevations, the windows are exactly identical. And we did ask our builder to make sure that we carry the windows through. When I saw some of the other elevations and I saw that the detail around the windows were present during this period in between the 2 meetings, I did go back to my builders and say, we are carrying through the historical trim around the windows, are we not? And so the first thing in this alternative is just to show that, yes, in fact, we are going to make the exterior trim. So not just the 6/6, the windows, but we are going to make that, which, you know, modern houses don't have anymore. And we're making sure that the existing house and the addition have matching windows, which was very important to us. And then briefly, just to go through the neighboring, our street where we are is exactly what we found out that the South Wayne Historic District is. We have different types of houses throughout this neighborhood. Across the street from us and a couple doors down is the Wayne Art Center driveway. And this begins the commercial side of things. So we stopped at this point. This is a landscaping, and then everything further past this is all commercial. We have hairdressers, medical supply companies, etc. The first house after the Wayne driveway is a sideways house, and they're just these colonials. This house here has that same long addition out the back as we're proposing. Our house on our side of the street is the southern boundary of the South Wayne Historic District. These houses are not part of the South Wayne Historic District. On our side of the street, right across from Bloomingdale, again, it starts with the commercial, and you have this, I call it a strip mall. You have a dance club and I think a nail salon or something like that in there. Directly next door to us, we have condos. This is a long building with another long building behind it, and then an L, and then the same thing over here, a long building with another building behind it, and then the L. That's what's immediately adjacent to us. Okay. Next door to us, yes? Was there a question? Next door to us is another colonial. They have their fireplace on the side, so I think they're more of the center hall. Directly next to that is what we affectionately call the mansion. This is an 8,000 square foot house, and its left wall is quite dramatically long. They have a 3-car garage, the L part of the house, and then the remaining house all on the left side. Next to that is what we looked up in the Historical Society is called the style of old. I thought it looked a little Victorian to me, but according to the the Radnor Township Historical Society, this is the old style. And then next to that, we have the house that has that A-frame that we see a lot in Wayne. So that's what we have going on on our street. I know. We do have this second alternative that I'd like to go over. Actually, before they do that, the first alternative. So this is the doorway in. I know you guys don't care about the interior. We keep flip-flopping from the interior perspective, whether we would like the doorway to be here or whether we would like the doorway to be here. So we show it both ways. If the historical board has a strong preference, please let us know. Otherwise, if it's possible to approve it both ways so that we can make the decision as we go on, that would be great. But if not, if you have a preference, that would be great. This is the alternative that I think we would like to have approved. I am going to show alternative 2. So we were at the last hearing when we got continued, and we heard one of the HARB members indicate that they prefer to have the addition's roof line to be lower than the house roof line. It is our strong preference, and we are asking to have approved our design with the roof line the same size. We're asking this for a couple reasons. First, we think that it does look more like it was part of the original house to have the roof line be the same. Second, we do have this center chimney that I keep talking about. And one of the issues with that is it makes this much more practical, especially if there's going to be a future addition made in the top where people are going to finish this. And we just think that it looks better. But we did provide the alternative with the lower roof line in case that is a showstopper and that the board wants it. We didn't want to get continued out for another 30 days to come back and show the lower roof line having already been put out before. So that's my presentation. We did try our hardest to make sure that we were consistent with the neighborhood, consistent with what other colonials have done for their additions. And we made sure that we kept all of the little historical details on the outside going. And if you don't have any questions, we would ask that it be approved.
I have a lot of questions.
Okay.
first of all, we don't have both sides of the elevation. We just have this one view.
So the
You didn't provide it to us, so we couldn't really look at it.
well, we have the original. The original elevation includes all of the views.
Okay. All right. Well, one of the things that I wanted to call out was in the front view of your house, you can see that almost every single colonial from that period, the windows in the front are symmetrical. There's a window, you know, there's a window above the door and a window above a window. And your design is really very hodgepodge in terms of the placement of the windows. The right-hand elevation has, you know, opportunities for symmetry with a window. I mean, you don't see what I'm pointing to, but on the right side of that drawing, for the side with the door, there's a window above a window. If that could be sort of centered, that would be easier. But there's no window on either side on the left-hand side of that drawing. Conversely, the placement of the window on the upper floor from the back view, I mean, we don't really care about the back view. Nobody's going to see it, but it is clearly visible from the side. And it seems like the windows are more what is practical for you from the inside than what is pleasing for the design from the outside. So I also wanted to comment on the siding. All of the examples that you showed us had consistent material from the original house to the addition for siding materials. You did not show us anything in your neighborhood that has siding all around. And while I don't doubt that it's going to be lovely siding, you know, one of the things that makes it seem like an addition is if the exterior materials are consistent from the original house to the addition. So that's my two comments: is the windows they're not enough windows to make it seem symmetrical, and that the building material is inconsistent with the original house.
May I respond a little bit? You're right. The reason there is no window on the left elevation above the first floor window is because that is where the closet was. That is the reason that there was no window placed there. We did consider keeping the stucco throughout. One of the considerations we had in selecting not to have the stucco throughout was that at the rear of the new addition, the basement is a walkout basement. And it was advised to us that a 3-story stucco wall would not be as attractive as having the siding on it. That this would make the house look nicer to have that look to it.
I personally don't agree.
Yes,
I have a question. What is the total square footage of the proposed addition as far as its footprint?
780 square feet.
Although I recognize it's a closet, you could put a window with a blackout panel behind it so that it would look like a window, but would not in fact be one. If it is truly going to be a closet. Although I would like some natural light in my closet because it would make it easier to see what I have, but that's okay. I mean, with your closet, I don't care about that. But the point is that it's so dramatically asymmetrical in a neighborhood of houses, especially from the front and the side views of your house, where the architects clearly valued symmetry with the windows. And that's a hallmark of a historic house.
I would also like to comment that as far as the footprint of the proposed addition, that's going to be somewhere around 45% of the footprint of the main house. And Linda, you have shared examples in a neighborhood where additions are rather large. But my concern with this addition is that it could possibly be a question of massing. Let me share with you my reasonings. One of the things we strive to do on the Radnor Harb is to preserve and protect the overall architectural character of the houses located in the historic districts. One of these attributes is to keep the main house prominent. And that means that additions be smaller than, say, at most 25% of the main house's existing footprint or square footage. No hard and fast rule there, just a rule of thumb, a heuristic. This is to prevent massing, in my opinion. Another attribute is to have the roof lines of additions be lower than the roof line of the main house to, again, keep the main house prominent. This is to prevent an addition from being out of scale, in my opinion. So at least for me, I have a concern that this could be a question of massing. But also too, I'd like to reinforce what Sarah had said, that it would be good to see symmetry with the windows in the addition, because I agree with her argument. And also too, as far as your plans, I prefer the alternative 2 plan, which has a lower roof line than the main house.
Thank you. And that's why we provided the lower roof line. We did hear at the last HARB meeting that a lower roof line would be appropriate. We did, again, this is completely through the rear. I think we would be more than willing to put a window.
We're gonna get a closet with a window.
A closet
awesome.
with a window.
I like natural light.
If that would appease the HARB.
Bob, I'd like to address a couple of your concerns too, because we have spent a lot of time driving around Wayne, consulting with with people in our township, and
I agree with you, obviously, from your presentation. Yep.
Oh, thank you. And and just a biography. I grew up in Stratford, so I had my first guitar lessons at the Wayne Music Center, and I saw my first R-rated movie at the Anthony Wayne when I was in 8th grade, and so a lot of good memories of this particular neighborhood. And I'm thrilled to live a few blocks away from what I call the center of the universe.
All the time.
But so I wanted to discuss a few things, especially with your concerns, Bob. One is the roof line. Is you really don't see it from the street. Our house slopes away from this. Our lot slopes downward from Conestoga Road. So you don't see it from the road. Coming from the east, the house next to us completely blocks the view. And then coming from the west, we really essentially don't see the house, but for about 1.5 seconds if you were driving by, and we don't have a sidewalk. So we did think about a lot of those things in regard to the roof line, that it would not dwarf the house, and that the addition is essentially hidden and keeps the main house prominent, especially from from the front.
So may I ask a question? So in the original elevations, and the reason we only showed the left elevation for the alternatives was because of the doorway. So the windows, we are making all of those changes. Are there concerns about, the right side is completely not viewable by the road, but we are certainly willing to consider it. Are there concerns with this windows? These are, of course, put where they are, again, for considerations of the interior, because it's the master bedroom and that's where the bed would go. And it is.
My comment is that if this truly cannot be seen by the casual passerby, be they on foot or be in the car, we don't care. So if you can assure me that really nobody is ever going to see it, You know, I would love to see those two windows brought together so that they would match what's underneath it, and that would be lovely symmetry. But, you know, if it can be seen, I suggest that those two windows that are separated, because that's where you want your bed to go, be brought together, because there's a double window above and a double window below. And to the left of that, there is a double window above a double window.
So this is the right elevation. We're actually standing in our neighbor's driveway to take this picture because we thought what you would want to see is what the house looked like. If we go back to the site plan, you can see that Conestoga Road curves right here, and this is where their house is. And as you're coming down Conestoga Road, their house would completely block the new addition.
Anything else you'd like to share with us, Linda?
I don't believe that there's anything. I mean, I don't, so the massing concern, like I said, we didn't know what this was going to look like. We did make sure we put it completely in the back of the house. We did make sure that it looked like the other houses in the neighborhood that have the colonial look with the addition to it.
Yeah, I'd like to say that this house in that picture that you've just shown there, I think illustrates what you're looking to do. So at some time that was approved, and we just have to be aware of setting precedent.
Right.
Sure.
We actually watched the Harb on this one. Now, the other thing is in this one, and their backyard is much smaller than our backyard. So we have a much larger yard to take the size of the house in the back. We're not going to have any houses right next to us. We have this large expansive yard behind the house.
In my opinion, I would still like to see a smaller addition, but obviously you've illustrated and made a case that there are other houses in that immediate area that also have this type of addition. So I think you've made your case there.
Thank you. And if we are more than willing to put a symmetrical window above this window into our closet.
I'm looking for more specific feedback on the windows.
The feedback on the windows that I offer you is that a colonial house such as yours should have symmetrical windows on all four sides. That the windows, we can't comment on the sides that can't be seen, but I do suggest on this side, which can be seen, that there would be a window equal distant from the front, the back, the sides, up and down, directly above the double window, and that you know, that the window on the right there be moved slightly to the right or the left, or, you know, depending on where you're standing in the house, so that it too is directly above that double window.
Okay.
I think that if you haven't broke ground, that it's not going to cost you any extra to put the windows in a different place.
Okay.
I agree.
I also agree with Bob that I think the lower roof line is more appropriate. It just, you know, it prevents it from looking as grand as it is.
Okay. And do you have a preference as to where the door goes, the outside door?
No.
No.
I think that, you know, you can put the door where you want. If you want to move it, it's more of a symmetrical location thing. If it's more practical to you, then what is a door should become a double window, and the windows above should be balanced above that double window.
Okay.
But I think we have, I'm sorry to delay you one more time, but I think we have enough design changes here that I really would not feel comfortable approving an idea. I would very much like to see the windows changed. So I want to see what they're going to look like. And I want to see what the new doorway is going to look like. And I want to make sure that everybody's comfortable with the lower roof line. So I would like to offer you another continuance. It's just a 4-week delay, and it should not prevent you from going to zoning to get your permission for impervious. So that's what I would like to propose, that we offer you another continuance to revise your design.
Linda, I also agree with that, just so we can have another overall picture here with our recommendations.
Okay.
Very similar to the first case we had on the Wella this evening. And you could see the dynamic that happened there. And I think that for our next meeting, there would be a potential for a very similar dynamic there, as far as putting these things together with our recommendations. So do we have a motion for continuance?
Before we do, can we just make sure that we're clear? It's the location of the door, the roofs, and the windows?
Yeah. If my fellow commissioners have no comment on the exterior, I will withdraw my comment.
I think with the door, I think it would be more appropriate that the door be on the addition.
We actually like that look from the exterior as well better. Not so sure of the interior, but the exterior, we think it looks better. It makes the original house look like the original house.
Okay.
Terry, we can't hear you.
Terry, unmute yourself.
Terry, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Who's our IT person? Can you unmute her? There we go.
There we go.
May I comment?
Yes, please.
Okay. What you see in that picture is defined as architecturally as asymmetrical fenestration, which means uneven windows. At the beginning of the Victorian period, for which Wayne is now famous, the Victorian period hated symmetry, hated it. And they couldn't tear down the colonial buildings fast enough because they wanted much more interesting architecture. So if we talk about what Wayne is famous for, it's historic Victorian buildings. It wasn't until 1900 that the effect of the centennial celebration in Philadelphia made people swing back to an appreciation of colonial architecture. But we can't, this, believe it or not, goes back to a sort of the type of thing that was occurring in the 1890s when people started edging toward colonial. They would slap a Palladian window on the side of the house, for example, without any, windows were all over the place. But that's what an evolution in architecture is about. And so what we're doing now, some of it, with some of the modern houses, it turns my stomach. I'm a Libran. I like everything balanced. Colonial is my basic style, but I appreciate the Victorian period. This is what really put Wayne on the map in terms of architecture, but to make people move windows because it doesn't conform with symmetry. Symmetry is not what this town is about. And I'm very much against, making them come back. I cannot tell you. So I will not be proposing or approving that motion.
And I should just note that I'm abstaining here. This is Lisa Lopez.
Sorry. I apologize.
Sorry,
I don't approve of making them come back. I think what they presented is supportable, and we should not make them jump through 1,000 hoops. They've they've tried to, you know, make a plan that is livable for the family. The portions shown are not offensive to the, you know, in terms of side views that are facing people. When it's the front of the house and you have 8 colonials exactly alike in the row, and then somebody starts playing slapdash with windows, that's a different situation, but this is not.
Well, Terry, I do appreciate your comments, as always, but maybe you can help me to understand a little bit more about your opinion, because the house was built like circa 1928, 29.
When symmetrical windows were back being all the rage.
Well, symmetry by the 1920s was very much the rule, but people still, we've got to balance 2 architectural styles, and you can see in this area that you're going to see one of one followed by one of the next. So in our town of Wayne, we have a variety. We have not yet recognized or given individual designations to historic houses, which we should have long since done. But because we have 2 federal period houses that are simply outstanding that we have not given any historical tag to, but that's totally aside from this one. I do not think that given the number of houses in Wayne that have this asymmetrical fenestration, and it's not peering toward the street from everything that I'm seeing, I just can't see making them come back.
Terry, what is your opinion on the proposed roof line?
Sorry.
Do you like the higher roof line or the lower roof line?
I think
the
that,
addition.
I'm sorry, you can tell that this isn't coming through well, but I am working on my little, you'd like to go down before you go up. I thought this was connected to my, my phone volume, I apologize. What was your question about?
As far as the roof line of the addition, do you prefer the lower roof line in the alternative number 2?
I don't think it's mandatory.
Okay.
Again, because of the way it's situated. In other words, you're not seeing this, as I understand it, as you drive by on the street.
That's correct.
So I think what is best for the family at this point is, you know, I would concede to them.
Any other further comments from the board?
I don't have any further comments. I've been talking too much.
Sarah, do you have any further comments?
I understand your position, Terry. I still come back to the fact that it looks on the rest of the house is mostly balanced and the addition is not. It is possible that the addition can be seen. That's why they're here. I recommend a window in that closet to balance the windows below. Since we all seem to understand one another about what that actually means, I am willing to offer a motion to approve an amended design with an addition of a window above the double window on this one side. So that would be the motion, that we make a recommendation, a certificate of appropriateness pending that design change. and then they would not have to come back.
We're amenable to that.
So what you would present to the commissioners would be the revised design.
The alternative, I'm a little confused because
Alternative to the lower roof line, since Bob and I care, Lisa is abstaining and Terry doesn't care.
okay.
So we're going to do the lower roof line and the addition of a window.
Okay. We're amenable to that.
Okay. It doesn't really add that much to construction costs to put one window in. And considering what you're going to be spending for the rest of it.
Correct.
Well, it's
the
good to have
design is already asymmetrical. The addition of one window is not going to make it symmetrical.
But it will make it more balanced.
I don't think so, because you already have asymmetry with
but not
the
so
design of the
dramatically
windows as
asymmetrical.
they
Terry.
are.
Not so dramatically asymmetrical.
Yeah, I don't think that is a relevant issue. Adding a window, it is costly. It's not cheap anymore. If you've gotten all of the ads that are sent out by the window companies every day, we walk by your street and you need new windows. Well, I have my original 1895 windows. Better believe if I wanted to be warm and not hear them rattle in the night, I would have replaced them. But having said that, they are very expensive to replace. It's an unnecessary cost because it's not balanced as it is with the window, over the door, but it is in keeping with the period in which a lot more attention is being paid to the way people live. And Oki, who was the prominent architect of the 1930s, designed perfectly symmetrical houses. The only problem, and I lived in one, was that they were totally unlivable inside. So that we have to balance the two. And his designs looked really, really wonderful from the outside because everything was symmetrical. But inside, oh my gosh, they were totally, totally, totally unlivable. Everyone that I have entered, the man, I don't know what he was thinking, but he wasn't thinking about the way normal people live.
Well, the window I suggest would make the second floor look a lot more balanced. I look at that design and say, there's a window missing there. And
but that's not right.
If the applicant is amenable to putting a window there, I will, make a motion that the design is approved with the addition of a window and the lower roof line, and a certificate of appropriateness be offered pending that one design change.
I know I'll be overruled about extending this, but if you are, now you're proposing adding the window, I'll let somebody else make the motion.
I made the motion that we offer a certificate of appropriateness pending that one design change of addition of a window on this view of the second floor of the addition and with the lower roof line.
Okay, I also agree to recommend a certificate of appropriateness with conditions. One being the addition of the window on the one side and the alternative to roofline plan.
Excellent.
Is there a second? Okay, all those in favor?
I will second on the certificate of appropriateness with the strong disagreement about the window.
Okay, so what we're voting on is a recommendation for a certificate of appropriateness, if I understand Sarah right, with conditions, the addition of the window on one side and the alternative 2 plan with the lower roof line. Is that correct, Sarah?
Yes, that's my motion.
That's your motion? Okay.
Bob, if I could just offer, we would confirm that on the plan review when the application is made for the building permit.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Andy.
So we can still recommend the certificate of appropriateness, right?
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm just letting everyone know that as a mechanism, we will make sure that the conditions are met on the plan review.
Okay.
So
is that understandable? Is that understandable to you, Linda?
Yes, it is. Thank you. So, and just to make sure, this roof line on alternative 2, add a window right here, and we're good to go.
Yep.
Yep.
Excellent.
That's my understanding as well.
So the motion carries 2 yays and 1 nay.
And 1 abstention.
Terry, do you abstain?
No, Lisa does.
Lisa had to abstain.
Okay. So two yays, 1 nay, and 1 abstention.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay. Next order of old business is 310 Midland Avenue, a new 2nd floor addition over existing sunroom, renovation of sunroom. Just again to refresh everyone's memory on this, some basic background on this property. Radnor Township records say it is a contributing property. Radnor Historical Society's Historic Resource Survey has no information. Zillow says it was built in 1920. Delaware County property records say it was built in 1930. Building area is 3,392 square feet living. The exterior walls are stucco. Please introduce yourself again and share your revised plans with us.
I'm Alex Rice, the architect for the owners with Archer Buchanan. Share my screen. Uh-oh. Where are we? There we are. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay. Again, I'm not sure how far through the last month's presentation we want to go. We have the 3 sheets here.
Well, just please show us your changes that you would like to make as compared to what you first proposed.
Absolutely. So last month, our discussion focused on the side elevation, which is this elevation here from the neighbor's side. Here is Midland Avenue. The house is set back close to the property line, the adjacent neighbor over at 308. Our focus discussion was on the side elevation. And this is the modified elevation with the window modifications from last month.
I recall that was a blank wall. There were no upper windows.
Correct. You're correct. We were going to put the traditional siding, clapboard siding. But what we've done, we've taken the window that we're putting on the front, which matches in proportion to the 8/1, the 6/1. Here on the back, which is kind of centered on the master bath or within the master bath. And then just, again, to your point of trying to minimize this big, long blank elevation, we put in a little 4-light to try and kind of balance that elevation from the neighbor's side.
No thought given to putting the same window there.
We did. We thought about putting the 6/1 there. Honestly, it wasn't as 6 half dozen. We actually thought this had a little more visual interest, but we're happy to put the 6/1. You know, again, if we're going back to kind of the balanced, symmetrical feeling here.
Since the rest of the house is balanced and symmetrical, I'm not trying to come out of left field asking for that.
That's fine. I mean, we can certainly do that. We can do 2 6/1s and have it kind of centered equidistant on the center line.
That would be brilliant.
Okay.
I would like to offer a certificate of appropriateness conditional on adding a 6/1 window where the forelight is, and no other comments. I would offer that certificate of appropriateness. That's my motion.
Second.
I would just like to further add that I suggest a smaller window of the same size as the other window for symmetry. So I also agree. And we have a motion for certificate of appropriateness with the condition that the 6/1 window be added. And the motion carries and the board recommends a certificate of appropriateness.
Terrific.
Thank you for presenting to us today, Alex. Good to see you again.
Thanks. Thanks so much. Thanks for having us tonight.
Okay. Onward into new business. HARB 2021-09, 417 Woodland Avenue, Wayne, PA. Addition of freestanding garage to property. Before we get into the presentation, I'd like to give some basic background on this property. Radnor Township records say it is a contributing property built from 1885 to 1889. The architect was Price Brothers. The builders were Wendell and Smith. Radnor Historical Society Historic Resource Survey says the historic name of this property is the New Tower House. And again, I'd like to share with everyone this little brochure from the Radnor Historical Society from the builders Wendell and Smith that was put together when they were first developing the houses in the current historic districts. And it lists the New Tower House in there. The Tower House, the distinctive feature of this plan, was taken from an old windmill tower at East Hampton on Long Island Shore. It is what is called a double house, having the hall in the center between library and parlor. We have one of these homes on hand at the present time ready for occupancy. The cut shows the arrangement of the first floor, 4 chambers and bathroom on the second floor, 3 rooms and storeroom on 3rd floor, ample porch room. More so, according to Radnor Historical Society's records, the house was built between 1889 and 1890. The architect was Price Brothers, and the builders were Wendell and Smith. Delaware County property records say the house was built in 1885. The building area is 3,229 square feet. Living, style is Victorian, construction frame, exterior walls, wood. Please introduce yourself and share your plans with us.
Good evening. Big echo. My name is Roger Ball. My wife Paula is in 2 windows down from me. I happen to be here at work so that I could share the screen effectively. Paul's at our home. Just a quick look at the world to get you placed where we are. Our home is 417 Woodland Avenue, just center of Wayne here, just north of the center of Wayne. This would be our home here. Last year when we had a tree fall and take a dormer off the face of our building, that has since been repaired and it's all good. We're back to normal. Paula and I bought the property in 2001 in a state of significant disrepair, would be the understatement of today. And since then have gradually been restoring it to where it is today, which is basically fully restored. And now we find ourselves in need of a space for a freestanding parking garage. Two-car garage that would be sited basically in this piece of the property. So straight back from the driveway at kind of at the back elevation of the existing structure. To get you a little bit familiar with the building itself, the home itself, this is our home from Woodland Avenue, looking basically northeast. So this is the turret to which Bob referred a moment ago. This obviously we had reshingled right back with cedar shake like before, approximately a year and a half ago, Paul, I think. That has now since been stained to this green. This is the current look of the structure. Here you're standing basically at what would be the corner of the garage looking to the northwest at the front porch. And here is from in the backyard, if you will, looking at the porch, the wraparound porch here, the balance of the turret here. The garage would be sitting just off this picture to the left, if you will. Some views of some neighboring properties. You'll see some architectural details in our plan that they all match our existing home. Several of them mirror some things you'll see in some of these homes. So this is basically standing at the end of our driveway, looking across the street. This is one of the original homes from the 1890s, as is this one, right, Paula? And this is a 1920s home that was built a little bit later. Turning around and looking at our property, if you will, here you'll see this is our home, and this is our next door neighbors, the Sparks family. They're immediately to our north, and then to our south are the Pritchards. So you guys are probably familiar with Greg Pritchard, Greg and Joyce, right next door. That's their fence, which is a perfect reproduction of what Wendell and Smith built. And you can see it actually in the original renderings of our home. A similar fence actually continued on past in front of our house.
I wouldn't expect anything less.
Our garage, of course. So our garage would be sited back in here behind these trees. There's a pretty heavy buffer of evergreens and trees between us, and the Pritchards have in effect a double lot. Their home is way off here to the south, to your right. Any questions on the siting and what's around us and what it all looks like?
Nope.
So let's go to the drawings. Real quick, site plan, pretty straightforward. Again, feed straight back, two-car garage with a small workshop on the back, with a step in the building facade so we don't end up with a big, long kind of gunship look. And two cars, single stair to a storage space on the second floor. And what you'll see here on the floor plans and the renderings, some of the details that we're carrying over from the existing structure. These exposed rafter tails is identical to what we have on the current structure. The roof spanning, it's 12 inches over the face of the adjacent facade with a single rafter going up. That's the exact mirror of details on our existing home. The flare in the shingles at the base, again, a detail that all of our wood shake shingles flare at the base. We're going to recreate that around the the structure. At the windows, I don't know if it shows clearly on these existing elevations. Perhaps it does. There are, can't really see them all that well, but over the top of every window, there is a slight eyebrow. So they kind of created it's only about 2 inches in depth, but that eyebrow is over all the windows that are kind of in a flat plane facade. We plan to replicate those eyebrows on all the windows on the garage structure. Finished material will be identical to what's on the home. So cedar shake. This is an asphalt shingle. Tom Felton, our architect, made a couple of what I think are interesting suggestions on the roof line in an effort to kind of scale down the massing of it from the street view by cutting this. And you'll see that mirrored on homes on one street over on Oak. They have similar roof lines where they cut it back. And it gives an interesting view, not that this matters from the street, but from the yard side of the garage structure. It changes the appearance here. And again, you see the rafter tails showing rear facade. You get that interesting roof line. And again, more rafter tails, all the details just repeating themselves as we go around. So that's about it. I think it's relatively straightforward. And I think given our history with our existing home and what we've done to it, if any of you knew what our house looked like 21 years ago and what it appears to be today, you'd understand that our heart is in doing this the right way. And I think Tom has done a nice job in putting that to paper. So,
yes,
any questions?
I have no questions. It's wonderful. You understand what we are seeking. I think it will be a lovely addition to the landscape, and I heartily offer you a certificate of appropriateness with no conditions. And
I also commend your design and your work. Okay, so we have a motion for a certificate of appropriateness. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 The motion passes unanimously. The board recommends a certificate of appropriateness. Thank you for presenting to us today.
Very good. Thank you all. Appreciate the time.
Okay, moving right along. New business. HARB 2021-10, 100 Pembroke Avenue, Wayne, PA. Change facade material. This house was before us not too long ago, so I just wanted to refresh our memory. Radnor Township records say that it is a contributing property. It was built in 1906. The architects were William Price and M. McClanahan. The builders, Yarnell and Ballinger. Radnor Historical Society Historic Resource Survey says the historic name of this house is Cart Allen. Again, it was an estate for Allen Reed, who was the son of Jacob Reed, I believe, the noted Philadelphia clothing merchant. And I also believe that Allen Reed served for a time as president of that company, which was in business for over 150 years in Philadelphia. It was built in circa 1898. The architect was William Price. Delaware County, PA property records say the house was built in 1898. The building area is 9,895 square feet living. The exterior walls are brick and stone. The style is Victorian. Please again, introduce yourself and share your plans with us.
Good evening. I'm Joe Augustine. I'm the architect for the project, and I will attempt to share my screen. Okay. Okay, are you able to see the site plan of the project?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Well, without delaying with technical issues, do you have access to the drawings that were submitted?
Yes,
okay, so we'll refer to those. So as it was stated, this project was submitted in 2020 for a review of a second floor addition for basically a master closet over the porte-cochere, which I believe was approved. And after meeting with the builder and the owner, we discussed changing the material to something that's more consistent with the character of the existing home. And that's really what we're proposing to do, is to do a similar brick pattern. I think sometimes they refer to it as a quilted pattern. So we would engage a mason who could recreate that detail in such a way that it could be incorporated into the existing home, as well as the windows that are proposed would complement the character and proportions of the existing windows, to make it appear that it was conceived with the home as it was originally built. I believe it was also, it was desirable to ultimately detail it in such a way that it could be removed without any permanent damage or defacement of the original structure.
If I remember this case, when it was first before our board and we approved that addition, that what you're proposing is going to be more of an enhancement for the addition as compared to the main house, especially with using brick.
That's the intention, correct.
Okay.
The windows and the placement of the windows will remain the same?
Yes, as shown on the drawings, the window would be centered over the entrance to the porte-cochere, and it would match the shape and proportion of the existing windows to the left.
Okay. Brilliant. I have no further questions.
Any further comments from the board?
I would like to make a motion that we offer an amended certificate of appropriateness to reflect the updating of the facade material for this project.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for an amended certificate of appropriateness. The motion was seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 I also say aye. Terry?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. The board recommends an amended certificate of appropriateness. Thank you for presenting to us today.
Excellent. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay, moving right along here. New business, HARB 2021-11, 418 Oak Lane, Wayne, PA. Fill-in area above basement entrance adjacent to existing porch and under existing two-story overhang at rear of house. Add Bilco entrance, relocate rear exterior door and steps. Before we get into the presentation, I'd like to give some basic background here on this property. According to Radnor Township records, they say it is a contributing property. It was built between 1885 and 1889. The architect was Price Brothers. The builder was Wendell and Smith. Radnor Historical Society's Historic Resource Survey says the historic name of this house, it's a Bruin Lodge. It was built between circa 1888 and 1889. The architect was Price Brothers. The builders were Wendell and Smith. And again, this house, the Bruin Lodge, is listed here in Rural Homes. And I'd just like to share this with you, what a Bruin house was from the original builders, Wendell and Smith, in their brochure when it was first built. Design. This house was designed to be the cheapest house we were willing to build for sale. It contains a living room, dining room, pantry, kitchen, shed, and servant's closet on first floor, 5 chambers and bathroom on second floor. By leaving a partition out of a front chamber, 22 feet by 14.5 feet can be had. Plumbing is done in very best manner. Having sewers, we use inside water closets in all cases, back stairs. Moving on, according to Delaware County PA property records, they say the house was built in 1885. The building area is 3,247 square feet living. The construction is framed. The exterior walls are wood. Please introduce yourself and share your plans.
Hey everyone. I wish they were still the cheapest houses on the block, I'll tell you that.
I thought that was kind of funny too. Ironic. How things change, huh?
Yeah, seriously. My wife and I just closed on the house actually this past Friday. So we'll
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. You caught us in the 10-minute window of putting our daughter to bed, so she's upstairs. But we're moving in a few months and doing some renovations before that, mostly to the interior of the house, but some minor exterior changes that we'll have to make that you'll see today. Let me just share my screen here. So let me get to the front here. So this is kind of the aerial shot of our home. We're on the corner of Eagle Road and Oak Lane. Really the two major things that we're doing here is covering the basement steps here. There'll be a kind of a small addition here that'll fill in over the gap between the porch and the current house, which is also currently covered by the second floor structure. So it's not going to jut out at all. We'll be moving these stairs here, keeping the stone wall here and basically just moving the stairs to the other side of the house, or to the other side of the wall, and relocating the back door from this current stair area to the new stair area. So you can see here the side of the house. This is a covered porch here underneath the second story. This is that stone wall that I was referring to. So really no changes to the side facade of the house. This is the rear view. So this area here is really what's going to be filled in. You can see the Bilco doors here that we'll be adding. And then the current door is right around, this is right here at this area. We'll be relocating it over to the left-hand side of this current stone wall. Again, keeping that original stone wall and really just moving the steps to the other side of it to accommodate the new door. And I'll just come over to some of this views of the house. So this is the current shot of the back of the house. You can see the current steps over here that will be moved to the other side of the steps. This is, again, that gap area that currently leads down to the basement. which will be kind of filled in underneath the second story. And this is the view from the rear of the house, looking to the detached garage in the back.
All of this is not visible from street view, am I correct?
Oh no, it's very visible. It is full on visible. We had this house before us. The previous owner had applied to us to make a screen porch. And believe me, every time I drive down that street, I view this beautiful blue and white house and I say, oh, that guy decided it was cheaper to move. So yes, I know that house very well. And believe me, you have like, you know, Technicolor right there coming down Eagle Road. It is in full view.
Yeah. From
you
Eagle.
have no trees, you have no nothing. It is right there.
All right, we'll keep that in mind when we're hanging back there for sure. Again, this is just the snapshot of the side of the house, which is going to have no changes to it.
We did ask the previous owner why he wanted to fill that in because it is such a lovely porch.
It is really nice, and actually, the people we just bought it from had similar plans to do some renovations, and they were going to close it in completely and make it.
Yeah, he came before us, I guess last summer.
Okay. Oh, yeah. The Golumbeskis. Yeah, that was their original plan, and we found an option that got what we wanted without having to lose that porch because it's a really nice porch. That's exactly right. So that's pretty much it for the presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
So am I clear from the drawings that you sent? Are you could you show us the photograph of the back of the house, please?
Yep.
There we go. Okay, so you're just going to make that back panel from this drawing. You're going to make that symmetrical. There's not going to be an overhang. You're going to bump out that few inches, and you're going to go to the, as we are looking at it, you're going to go to the right and fill in that area. So you're going to have a slightly larger room there.
That's right. It's all going to be, it's going to come out to where the current structure is. It's just filling it in from where this gap is today. So it doesn't protrude out at all beyond.
And the cladding material is going to be the same?
Yeah, the cedar shade.
Siding.
Yes.
It's a beautiful house.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Very excited.
I don't have any objections. I think that would be perfectly in keeping. As somebody who drives by this house pretty much every day, that I think would be an entirely appropriate addition.
Okay.
So I would like to, if nobody else has any comments, I would like to, listen to what other people have to say.
Any further comments from the board?
Anyway, I'm leaving in September, so you won't have me around anymore.
Oh no. Okay.
No.
Well, stop
Any
by.
further comments from the
Oh
board?
yeah, wave when you drive by.
Yeah.
I'll honk.
Yeah, perfect. We'll know it's you.
Okay. Any further comments? Do we have a motion?
I will make the motion to offer a certificate of appropriateness for this property.
Is there a second? Okay.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Carried?
Yeah.
Okay. I also say aye. The motion carries. The board recommends a certificate of appropriateness. And thank you for presenting to us today. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I've also said I learned a lot in the last 90 minutes, so this has been really, really great. So thank you.
You can come back every month.
Yeah.
We might be back at some point. We'll see.
You understand what we're looking for. We really just want people to not make it look like an addition.
No, it was
I
really, really helpful to kind of hear what, all the comments and everything. So if we're back again, we'll know what to look out for. So thank you.
What we strive to do too is like educate our community about what we do on our board, and what we look for, and some of the history and things like that. So
it was fascinating.
Yeah, no, I feel like.
Okay. Well, thank you again.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay. hey, we're almost wrapped up, everyone. But I would like to bring up a point of new business. Hopefully this will be fun. I think it will. Okay, my point of new business. As chair, I propose to appoint Rusty, Terry Arnie's, our fellow board member's fine pupster, her dog, as the official mascot of our current Radnor Township Historic and Architectural Review Board.
Is he a historic dog?
Well, hear me out. Hear me out. Rusty is a Norwegian elk hound.
Oh my goodness, bigger than I am.
And appeared with Terry in the video of our March 3rd, 2021 meeting. Rusty enjoys accompanying Terry, her family, and friends on hikes in Valley Forge National Historic Park. Do I have a second?
Hey, Rusty. Rusty.
I feel like I need to see him first. Let's see him, Terry.
Hey, Rusty. You've just been. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Doesn't look like a dog.
Here he is.
There he is.
Oh, he's darling.
Okay, sure, we can have a mascot.
Sure.
All right.
You've just gotten and named as mascot. I mean, really, what an honor.
Okay, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And Rusty is the official mascot of the current Radnor Township Harb.
Wow, we might be the only PA Harb with a mascot. I'm pretty impressed, Bob.
Okay, and Terry, thank you for sharing all that with me. So, all righty, public participation. Before we adjourn, I'd like to say the next meeting of the Harb is scheduled for Wednesday, June 2nd, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Applications for the June 2nd, 2021 meeting must be submitted on or before May 18, 2021. Any public participation? I see none. A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned, everyone, and thank you for joining us and have a good evening. And again, congratulations, Rusty.
Thank you, everyone.